Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my top 10 Stephen King books I have read. A lot of people's lists will be different. I've watched many YouTubers and their top 10 lists may be different from mine, but again, this is my top 10 based off of all the books that I have read from him. And if you haven't seen my latest video, I will leave a link in the description below. But enough talking, let's get right into my top 10 list. Starting off at number 10, Needful Things. This book actually is kind of like an underrated book, I think, from Stephen King. It is a very interesting story. Before I get into any of the details, all my books I'm going over today, I am not going to have any spoiler alert. I hate spoilers, so I'm only going to say a couple things about each book of my top 10. And so Needful Things is a great book because the stranger comes into town, he opens up the store, and customers start coming in. He's a little peculiar, and peculiar things start to happen around the town. At number 9, it is the Dark Tower series, the third installment, The Wastelands. Now in this book, this one is my favorite out of all the Dark Tower series because it involves, as you can see on the cover, this kind of like possessed train. That's obviously not getting a spoiler alert because it's right on the cover. Involves, again, the quest to get to the Dark Tower, all these characters working together, and there's a very mysterious thing that happens in this book. I will say that a book is found, so it's a book inside of a book that is found in this one, and that book actually relates to Stephen King. That's all I'm going to say. At number 8, The Institute. My friend actually recommended The Institute to me, and she kept asking me, are you at The Institute yet? Because I kept reading in order of Stephen King books, because she said that The Institute is a phenomenal book, and she sure was right. The Institute has a great storyline to it, lots of characters. This young boy, he is actually brought into the Institute itself, but this Institute isn't just for any ordinary kids. And number 7, Different Seasons. Different Seasons is a combination of 4 novellas by Stephen King. First one, Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption, Apt Pupil, The Breathing Method, Stand By Me. All 4 of these novellas are amazing, but my favorite out of the 4 would have to be Rita Hayworth in Shawshank Redemption. At number 6, Christine. Now this book, along with so many other Stephen King books, I have seen the movie, but again, I like the book so much better than the movie. It is about, again, this car that actually has, say, mystical powers. This book is amazing. It has great characters. The plot is supreme, and everything just ties together from start to end. At number 5, Richard Bachman's The Long Walk. In Stephen King's earlier days, his name was actually went under a pseudonym as Richard Bachman. So if you have not read the Bachman books, I highly recommend them. There should be, I believe, 4 of them, and The Long Walk is one of them. The Long Walk, about a group of boys that are going on this, well, if you want to say long walk journey to start from finish. It's not any ordinary walk. They will run into a lot of difficulties on the way. I highly recommend it. It's suspense start to finish. I could not put this book down. At number 4, The Shining. In my previous video, I have talked about The Shining just briefly. It is amazing. If you are looking for a ghost story, this is the one to read. Stephen King actually despised the movie version, and he bought the rights back to The Shining movie. I thought that was a pretty interesting fact. Jack Torrance, a struggling alcoholic, looks over this hotel, which is actually very haunted, and his young boy, Danny, he is not just an ordinary child. This child actually has some gifted supernatural abilities, but that is all I'm going to say on that. All right, we are down to the top 3 Stephen King books on my list. At number 3, we have Misery. I have seen the movie. Kathy Bates does an amazing job as Annie Wilkes. The novel has its differences than the movie, and I highly recommend, if you have not read Misery, to go out there and pick it up. Misery is about an author named Paul Sheldon who has gone into the mountains to write his upcoming novel. When he is leaving, he crashes. Paul Sheldon is then rescued after his car crash by his number 1 fan, Annie Wilkes. I'll leave it for you to finish the rest. At number 2, Stephen King's It. This is a thick novel. It is chock full of amazing characters, which is known as the Losers Club. The Losers Club encounters this demonic entity which forms into a clown or forms into any of the kids' worst fears. They go on a very, very long journey, and I recommend reading this. It may be thick, it may be over 1,000 pages, but it is 1,000 pages of pure genius. And I highly recommend, if you have not read the book of Stephen King's It, please go out and buy it or rent it from the library. You will not be disappointed. At number 1, Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot is the pure epitome of vampire horror. I loved this book from start to finish. Salem's Lot, or actually known in the book as Jerusalem's Lot, is a small New England town. Ben Mears, the main character, comes back to this town, and he runs into a couple characters also to help along in the story. But the Marston house in this book, that's the most interesting part of this book, and you will find if you've read this book or are going to read it, the Marston house is amazing, and it ties the story all together. If you have a top 10 list of Stephen King books, write it down in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone and what kind of books they love to read and what is their top 10 list. If you haven't already, please hit the like button below. Also, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I appreciate all my supporters out there and everyone who is helping me with my channel. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, that is my top 10 Stephen King books of all time. I'm still working on my collection behind me. I want to gather all of his, amazing books and add to my historical collection. But, as I always say, please, always, read your book cover to cover. We'll see y'all later.